Did you know the Gulf Coast of Texas is home to some of the world's greatest sand for sandcastle making? Or that there have been over 1 billion redfish released for fishing there? It's a beautiful place for work and play filled with incredible people that I'd love for you to meet. So why don't you hop in and travel with me as we visit some of my favorite folks I've met along the Texas Gulf Coast. My name is JB Salceda, and this is Texas Country Reporter. When you think about South Padre Island, you probably think about the sandy beaches, the beautiful water, memories with your family spent under the sun. What you might not realize is that it's home to a growing movement of artists who make use of a medium that you can find in abundance up and down this island.
I come out here and play with people and get to know them. I really feel like I get to know the tourists that come here better than just about anybody else. We are here, living in the moment, having a great time on the beach. Doesn't get any better than that. Now, I want you to watch what I do and then try to do the same thing with yours, right?
I thought I had the best job a guide could ask for, but Lucinda, Sandyfeet Wierenga's job, teaching folks how to build better sandcastles in South Padre, might give me a run for my money.
You don't have to go down far, which is kind of more of a flick, see? So we can create that overhang, that sand just hanging out there in space. And I'll tell you what, if you haven't built it right, this is where it starts to crumble and fall down. I'd say ours are built very well.
What began as a hobby, her summer breaks as a school teacher, has turned into an artistic career that's taken her all over the world.
I was involved in a project in Kuwait a few years back that was the size of 4 football fields and 70 sculptors from all over the world working for 6 weeks. It was 1001 Arabian Nights. It was really interesting because being a Muslim country, you couldn't carve eyes. So we had to make swirls or stars or, things like that. Quite an experience. This would be a good time to go run out in the water and cool off a little bit.
How did you get into sandcastle making and sculpting?
Well, I met this guy named Amazing Walter, and he was using sandcastles as a way to meet women. And it worked. I was like, wow, how'd you do that? And he says, oh, come on, little girl, I'll show you. And we ended up being partners for many years, and we had a lot of fun. Once I got started, I couldn't stop. I was a school teacher, so I came and spend my summers out here building sandcastles just because it was so much fun.
She's right about it being fun. I had a great time. She showed me the tricks of the sandcastle building trade, something she's been doing for about 40 years now on the strangely special sands of the Gulf Coast.
We're very fortunate, the whole Gulf Coast. We got good sand all the way around to Florida.
And what about it is so good?
It's got a lot of natural clay in it. When you get it on your hands, you can't brush it off. That's the sediment in it. It's sticky, and sticky is good when it comes to sandcastles.
And how many people do you think you've taught over the years?
Thousands, tens of thousands, I don't know. I'm getting people who had a lesson with me before saying, here's my kids, teach them too. Here's my grandkids, teach them too. And it's like, well, didn't I teach you? Why can't you teach them? It's not the same, it's not the same.
And it's not just clients that Lucinda's taught over the years. She's brought her nephew Emerson into the sand sculpting world.
My nephew Emerson is an up-and-coming sand sculpting star. I'm really proud of him. he studied art, so we make a really good team. We've been, he's my preferred duo partner because he's young and strong and he can shovel the sand like you wouldn't believe. So, but he's also a wonderful teacher and we really complement each other.
You know, a lot of artists, the things they make, they want to see it live in perpetuity. But a lot of what you build washes away every night.
That's right, most of it, almost all of it. And my counter to that is, you know, do you buy roses? You know that the rose isn't going to last either. You know, it's a temporary thing, and its temporary nature is probably a lot of its charm. It's people come up and say, "You've worked so hard on this for hours, and the tide's going to come get it." It's like, yeah, thank goodness, or else we'd be tripping on these things because I've built all over this island so much, you know, you'd have no place to walk. So it's a good thing that they don't last.
Don't worry though, there's a way to see some great sandcastles that do last. Lucinda has been a huge part of creating the holiday sandcastle village of South Padre Island, where they preserve sand sculptures for all to enjoy and view.
I want this to be my legacy. I want the Sandcastle Village to go on. So hopefully we're building a good foundation for that to continue even when I can't lift one of these anymore. But I just feel like the world would be a better place if more people sat down in the sand and built sandcastles together. It's such a calming, happy place to be. The beach, the sand, the water, you know, the kids laughing. I don't think it gets any better than this. So I want to just keep doing it and hopefully keep that foundation strong for the next person to pick it up and carry on.
That's just one fish. Think about what one fish can do, and then do it times 1 billion. It spawns conservation. Is even just a setting like this, people learning about this, they learn that the coast matters. It's amazingly complex, but it comes down to how people handle it. And we're blessed in Texas that people in general handle it pretty darn well.
On the sun-drenched shore of Christmas Bay, the thick, humid air crackles with an electric excitement as anglers gather in anticipation for the day's festivities. In the shallows, a young boy gently cradles a tiny, glistening token of their collective achievement, the 1-billionth redfish fingerling, to be released into the Gulf, a symbol of the decades-long effort to revitalize Texas's coastlines.
You know, a lot of this stems back to what's sort of known as the Redfish Wars. In 1977, 14 anglers got together, recreational anglers, and said we've had enough. And the late Bob Kemp and many other great leaders at that time saw the need to work together to try to make a difference. And what happened legislatively and administratively to better manage that resource and get gill nets out of Texas bays was also paired with the idea of creating these hatcheries that could help replenish the bays. It did truly start in Texas, and there's a maverick piece to that. But boy, you see it as vividly and as emphatically in other states as well.
As the president of the Coastal Conservation Association, Pat Murray has long dreamed of witnessing this historic milestone. His deep-rooted passion for the land and sea, which began in his youth, led him down the path that put him on shore today to see Billy, the 1-billionth fingerling, be released.
You know, so I was a fishing guide in Galveston Bay, and that's really, I mean, I found my love for fishing with my dad when I was a little boy. I mean, like the first time I saw my dad catch a flounder, I thought he'd caught a Martian. I was like, he caught a Martian, look at that thing. And I just wanted to know more. But that's what got me into fish guiding, because I was all in on that. It was like, this is what I want to do. And then you don't have to guide long to learn, number one, how important the resource is, but also how delicate it is. And I said, you know, that's something I really want to be a part of, and was blessed to get hired in 1997 and have stayed there ever since.
Before Pat became president, decades of dedication, hard work, science, and sacrifice shaped the development of the hatcheries and revitalization efforts of the CCA and TPWD.
3, 2, 1.
Open it!
But much like nature, conservation is an unending cycle, one that Pat is optimistic will continue indefinitely, fueled by a new generation of anglers and conservationists that will hopefully be inspired by fish like Billy.
What's your relation to this guy?
Oh, this is my grandson, Noah Trevino.
Yeah. And why does it matter to be doing this work for him?
Well, he represents the future.
I just like the idea that we would have a billionth fish is incredible.
It's incredible.
It's just incredible. And in an era where billion and trillion and all these big numbers are thrown around, like I said, what I really like doing is thinking about a billion fish and then home in on one and think about the difference one fish could make. Because that fish can grow up and spawn, that fish can go, get caught and turn someone on to conservation. It can do a lot. And there's a billion of them that have been put in these bays, and there's gonna be a billion more. That's probably even more exciting.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible.
All right. I fish with people who've caught 1,000 redfish, and it's still really exciting just to see it happen. See somebody make the cast and start stripping and get the fly moving and see the fish react.
Keep tripping. We ate it. Nice.
I'm like a little ways back, and I'm just watching the whole thing. I'm watching you light up, I'm watching the fish light up, I'm watching the cast, and it's a totally different vibe. And so I never get sick of that.
Today I caught my first redfish on a fly rod, and it was an incredible feeling. Moments like these are often shared with a family member or close friend who lends a helping hand or some angling advice, perhaps even supporting in the retelling of the tale, describing the fish as having been a little bit bigger and making the fight to land it a lot more fierce. Alvin Dedeaux has made it his goal to share this infectious joy with anglers new and seasoned across the Lone Star State.
When we were fishing, I kind of felt like, I bet it'd be way more fun for him to be fishing, and he probably hates having to be up there just pushing me around or pushing other people around. But no, you enjoy the guiding
it's
part.
Fun. The thing, and this is the thing that's really cool about it, especially like today, because you caught your first one, and that's like, that'll never happen to me again. I'll never have the excitement of that first one, but I feel it like when like when it all comes together for somebody else, I'm getting goosebumps.
Despite his easygoing demeanor, Alvin Dedeaux has perhaps reeled in more Texans to the world of fly fishing than most. He spends most days out on his boat, and a bit of it online. As a fly fishing guide, he's built quite the following on social media and YouTube, where his videos have hauled millions of views. His goal is to demystify a style of fishing many people might be intimidated by.
I encourage anybody to try it. It's not for everybody. One of the comparisons a lot of people like to use is fly fishing is to conventional tackle fishing what bow hunting is to hunting with a rifle. It's definitely definitely harder, a little bit more practice, a little bit more kind of skill oriented. You're stacking the odds in the fish's favor. Once you cast with the fly rod, you're just hand lining. You're like holding on to one side of the string, and hopefully the fish is going to grab the other side. Especially what we're doing here, we're like actually looking for a fish and putting the fly in front of that specific fish and hoping that he eats it. So there's that aspect of it. They're kind of like the hand-to-hand combat.
Alvin was in the early wave of fly fishing guides in Texas. When he began, a lot of Texans left the state to fish freshwater trout up north, if they fly fished at all. But now, he's helping spread the sport from the Guadalupe to the Colorado and the Gulf Coast. He's had the good fortune to catch countless fish, but his greatest luck of all might have been meeting his wife, Lynnae.
She was pretty awesome. I mean, she really had a big effect on a lot of people, and she became a guide because there were no other women around here guiding. And she was like, that's the only reason I'm doing it, just because I want other women to be able to see me and realize like, oh, they can do it. I knew it was a match made in heaven because the first time we went fishing together, we were in Colorado. It was a small stream, and I'd fish with my buddies a lot. And it was small enough to where you had to like one person fish at a time. You'd fish, then the next person would fish the next hole, you know, a little mountain stream. And we'd take turns fishing and watching each other. And then we got finished at the end of the day, and she's like, that was romantic. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay, done, sign me up.
Alvin and Lynnae owned and operated all water guides together for many years, spreading the joy of Texas fly fishing to people from all walks of life. But suddenly, last spring, Lynnae wasn't quite feeling herself.
She just kind of started feeling kind of funky, like in April, and they were trying to figure out what it was, you know, like, it's not this, it's not that. Blood tests are always perfect, and she got an ultrasound, and they were like, oh, you have cancer. and she died a month later. At least with my wife, we did have a chance to like say goodbye, you know, like, and just kind of like say, oh, you know, like this is great. You know, we're so lucky to have the 16 years that we had. And, you know, too bad it's, you know, her only regret, she said she only had one regret, and that was just not being able to see her kids grow up. You know, we have a 11 and a 15-year-old daughter and a 26-year-old daughter. So, yeah, that was her only regret. So, I mean, I hope I'm so lucky, you know.
How are you doing?
You know, I have my good days, I have my bad days. I am super lucky. I got like
You're so much more
people.
upbeat than I would expect.
If this would have happened 5 or 6 years ago, I would not have been as upbeat. But we went through a lot of growth, you know, emotionally, spiritually, and you know, it's a part of life. And you know, I have to carry on. I have 2 young daughters I need to raise and, you know, support, and the whole optimism thing. I mean, that goes a long way in life, but also in fishing. I mean, really, I mean, I've been training myself for 50 years to like always think the next cast is going to be the one, or you're going to catch the fish of a lifetime. In a way, train myself to, you know, see the best, you know, just be positive.
What do you hope her legacy is?
That her kids know that what they're capable of. She was an artist, scientist, you know, teacher, fishing guide, business owner, multiple entrepreneur, you know, like she just did all kinds of stuff. As long as they know what their mom did and what she represented, and recognize that they have that in themselves, that's probably number one. One of the lessons that I'm learning through this is just, there's a lot of people out there that want to help, and it was, for me, I've always been like the, you know, lone wolf, do-it-yourself kind of guy, and it's really hard for me to ask for help, and almost harder for me to accept the help that people offer, you know. But I've been much more open. I let people help me, you know, and I realize that because I've always tried to help people, and I know that it makes you feel good to help other people. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, if you want to help me, I know that's going to make you feel good, and it helps me. So I'll just try to be a lot more open to, you know, everything that's coming my way, you know, whether it's, you know, somebody offering to take me fishing or what, you know, because usually I'll be like, no, let me take you fishing, you know. But now I'm
reverse
like,
card them.
yeah, but now I'm like going, yeah, come on, yeah, I'll get on the front of the boat, you know, and it feels good to just to be up there and let somebody else take care of me for a while, even if it's just a couple hours of fishing, you know.
Yeah, you helped me. I mean, I don't think I would have seen the fish that I ended up catching.
It's a team effort. And that's another thing about that parallel to life. You know, it is a team effort. You know, it's I could not go out there by myself and do that, you know. But when you have 3 people in the boat, like one person up here, one person casting, and maybe the third guy's looking the other direction that the guide's not looking, it's just so much more effective, and I'm realizing that life's the same way. You know, you just got to let people help you. You know.
I love the sea. I love everything about the water. I love just climbing around on ships and looking at everything, right? I was always landlocked all my life, and so now I have this opportunity to be a part of this old tradition.
For centuries, man has made a life roaming the seas. Sailors, fishermen, and merchants have hauled nets, trimmed the sails, and called the endless ocean home. For many of these weary mariners, the Galveston Seafarers Center offers a much-needed respite from the rolling waves.
You can see the vessels, but you don't stop to think about the humans that are on those vessels. The seafarers have a slogan, no shipping, no shopping. And if they couldn't ship it, you couldn't shop. I would hope that people, no matter where they are, would realize that they are affected by this, even if they never see the Port of Galveston, even if they never had the pleasure of coming into the Galveston Seafarer Center. So it does affect them. And as a nonprofit Seafarer Center, it's really important for us to let people know that we're here and what we do, because we do make a difference in people's lives all the time.
Deacon Jeff Willard serves as port chaplain at the Galveston Seafarers Center, where he and other volunteers have made this the ultimate home away from home for the men and women who work at sea. From cruise ship staff to cargo ship crews, once an ocean-going vessel makes port, this is the place to be.
What are the services that the Seafarers Center provides to the sailors?
Perhaps one of the biggest things we do is we are their post office. You think about it, you don't have a mailing address when you're at sea. And so anything you want to order from Amazon or wherever, if your family or friends want to send you a letter, it all comes here. It makes it easy for them. The free internet, believe me, it's very important. When I go on a cruise ship, internet is expensive. If I worked on a cruise ship, I would have to pay the same price. So it's very valuable for them to come here and connect. We have the bicycles. They ride all over the island. It's amazing. Some of them learn to ride a bicycle while they're here. They just get to hang out and feel at home here. And it's a wonderful thing for them. It's a wonderful thing for us. When this place is really full of crew members and they're all in here singing and playing the instruments we have, it's a beautiful sight.
Fully stocked bookshelves and gaming stations all contribute to the charm and camaraderie found here. But the center's reach is much wider than just these four walls. When Jeff's not here, busing people to and from the grocery store, he's at the shipyard where he continues the mission to ease sea-weary souls.
They used to say that going to work on a cargo vessel was like going to prison with a chance you'll drown. It's very deadly. It's very dangerous work that they do. And they're miles from anybody, right? It's a tough life out there. People will tell you, well, they're making a lot more money than they can make at home. Well, that may be true, but is it just? Is it really a fair wage? What do they have to do to get that wage? And so I come on and I act silly with them, I sing karaoke with them, I eat a meal with them, and it brings them some kind of peace. And so it makes a difference in their daily life, and so it really is a great feeling.
As a religious representative, how do you navigate all of the different religions coming into here, from all over the world?
It's very interesting because that was one of my concerns when I came here was, how much of a teacher of the Catholic faith do I need to be? So I approach it like this. If you believe that this little billfold here is God, I don't believe that. but I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm going to help you for your peace to get as close to this billfold as possible while you're here, okay? Then you leave here with some peace in your heart. I tell people that the first seafarer was actually Noah, you know? And I think the first sea chaplain was Jesus when he calmed the waters, right? So I can't physically calm the waters, but I can calm the person on the water, and that's okay.
Life on the sea has a way of being tranquil and tender. It can sometimes be tough and tumultuous. But even among the vast, uncertain ocean, there's a safe harbor that can be found in Galveston, where Deacon Jeff Willard is showing sailors that no matter where they roam, the Galveston Seafarers Center will always be home.
This morning, there were two gentlemen in here from Kenya who are getting ready to leave their 8-month contract. This is their last week here. And I asked them, I said, tell me about, what would you tell people about Galveston Seafarers Center? And they said, it's home. And I said, wait a minute, you tell me that it feels like it's home here? No, it is home. Now that's what I want to hear.
Why do you do this work?
I'm a deacon in the Catholic Church, and deacons traditionally, from St. Stephen on down to me, we were called to serve the widows and the orphans, primarily those who have little. People who work on ships from other countries, if they're not on a U.S. flag ship, their life is very difficult. So if I can help give you some kind of peace, regardless of your religion, if I can help you have some kind of peace, you're a better employee on the ship, right? You're a better roommate. You're better with your passengers. So it affects, it's a ripple effect. I play a game of pool with you here, and it makes your day brighter. Everything's good. So it's just that idea of doing whatever love requires. I love it here because I don't have to preach the gospel. I just have to be the gospel.